the Ravens are the best team in football. Here come the Tennessee Titans. You might want to get out the Christian Okoye 1980s big boy pads for this one.
Yes, this is the game as a DB. You better put your big boy pads on because we know what Tennessee is going to do. They are going to run the football with Derrick Henry downhill. You know, somebody said, look at those holes. Anybody can run through those holes. Yeah, but not anybody can deliver a blow like that. And that's going to be the tough part for this Ravens defense. How do you tackle Derrick Henry? They have to have a lot of guys around him. And ultimately, to win this game, I think the Ravens are going to have to make Ryan Tannehill beat them. And I know we always say that, but Mark Vrabel has kind of made the game plan. Look, we're going to let Derrick Henry run this football, and we're not going to make mistakes. To me, this Ravens defense is built to stop the run. You know, how does Tennessee respond when they're behind? Because the Ravens, this offense that they do, is going to be a slugfest back and forth between both guys running. But I told somebody the Ravens offense, when they run the football, it's explosive plays. It feels like pass plays. It's 15, 20-yard chunk pops. Yeah, chunks of run plays. This Tennessee running attack is so methodical that I don't know if they can hang with the Ravens. It's just too much firepower on offense and defense.
Well, for Tennessee, one of the most incredible stats I saw over the weekend, Tennessee had a 75-yard touchdown drive. Derrick Henry had all 75 yards of the touchdown drive. So it's coming. Can the Ravens stop it?
You better know where he is.
Lindsay?
Other AFC matchup is a rematch. It's the only rematch of the divisional round, and it went Houston's way back in Week 6 thanks to a strong ground game that allowed them to control the clock and keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, though they didn't have Sammy Watkins and they didn't have Eric Fisher or Chris Jones. It was Tyreek Hill's first game back from that collarbone injury, only played half their snaps. Duke Johnson of the Texans says that nothing from that game matters. Is he right, Mike Robb?
Well, it matters a little bit, right? Because you're going to go back and look at the film and see how they defended Deshaun Watson, how you defended Patrick Mahomes, all of those types of things. But one thing I saw from this past weekend, Deshaun Watson, the way that he uses his legs, and not just to run the ball. Obviously, he ran the ball 55 yards and a touchdown. But look how he buys time and extends the play in the pocket. This is the new wave of quarterbacking in the National Football League, Lindsay. You're going to have to do this. You cannot just sit in the pocket anymore and beat teams just with your eyes. You're going to have to move around. I mean, look at this play right here. This is the play that won the game. You know, unblocked defender, perfect blitz, defensive coordinators sit up all night to get a free hitter on your quarterback, and then your quarterback beats you with an explosive play. I mean, that's just demoralizing. So I think Deshaun Watson is going to have a lot of that in this game if the Houston Texans want to win it.
Texans looked good. Chiefs had the week off, and they'll be healthy at practice this week. Andy Reid says everyone is going to participate. All right, no days off. It's a phrase that I know you associate with Bill Belichick, but I've got news. And then there were 8. Are they, though, the 8 that you thought they'd be? Kind of a wild card weekend, the most watched since 2016. In the first weekend, this guy's been a fan in 18 weeks.
Yes, great to be on my couch with the tens of millions of you who watched postseason football this weekend. And unlimited bathroom breaks, it's heavenly.
Okay, and that's all I want to hear about that. Welcome to NFL Total Access with Scott Hansen. I'm Lindsay Rose.
We start with the future of the Dallas Cowboys. Major news today as Dallas has hired Mike McCarthy to be their next head coach. McCarthy was out of football last year but made the playoffs in 9 of his 13 seasons in Green Bay. And he is a Super Bowl champion, winning it all back in Super Bowl 45 almost a decade ago. NFL media insider Ian Rappaport joins us now. Ian, last week seemed a bit awkward, quite frankly, in Dallas. It was a slow-motion firing of Jason Garrett, but the Cowboys bring in a coach who has a Super Bowl ring. Why McCarthy, and how did they land on McCarthy?
Well, while we were all debating when Jason Garrett was going to get officially informed that he was not going to return as the Cowboys coach, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones kind of stealthily conducted a coaching search, even though Jason Garrett was still technically employed, though we all knew he was not going to return with Dallas this year. First, they interviewed Marvin Lewis, the former Bengals head coach, clearly focusing on head coaches who have been there before in the NFL. And then Saturday morning, they flew in Mike McCarthy. This was his 4th team he was interviewing with, actually 5th team overall, and it was pretty clear when he stayed the night in Dallas that this was a move the Cowboys wanted to make. It was a very targeted search, a small group of people that they looked at. McCarthy very high on the list of Stephen Jones, and then when Jerry Jones got on board, that was when this hire really we knew was going to happen. They talked contract late last night, finalized it early this morning. You know, we talked so much in Dallas this year about a Dak-friendly offense. This is a Dak-friendly hire. Hard to imagine a better move for a young quarterback than someone like Mike McCarthy, who spent so many years creating the Aaron Rodgers that we are going to see on the field in the playoffs this week. And obviously a big move for Dallas from someone who actually has won a Super Bowl title in Dallas. He, of course, needs to fill out his staff. Mike Nolan, the former Saints linebackers coach, is headed to Dallas. He's expected to be Mike McCarthy's defensive coordinator. Still some things to work out on the offensive side of the ball. Opposite Nolan, from what I understand, though, Kellen Moore is someone that McCarthy likes, so it is possible, and he is open to keeping Moore on the staff.
Cowboys hiring continues there on terms of the staff. In terms of head coaches in the NFL, we are down to 3 vacancies: Giants, Panthers, and Browns. Thank you, Ian. Back to Mike McCarthy now. All of his head coaching experience came in Green Bay. 9 trips to the playoffs, including 8 straight at one point. And his record at AT&T Stadium, he's 4-0, as Ian said, including winning Super Bowl 45 in that building years ago. Speaking of the DFW Metroplex, let's go live now to Jane Slater covering the Dallas Cowboys. She is at team headquarters. Jane, what's the reaction inside that building behind you?
Well, it's still not official as it applies to the Cowboys. I reached out to them repeatedly throughout the day, and I'm told that there could be a press conference later in the week. This thing is still a fluid situation, but even the coaches who have contracts, they have not heard from Mike McCarthy and his staff, and coaches with expiring contracts have not heard from Mike McCarthy and his staff. So they continue to play this waiting game as well. This morning, I did report that Mike McCarthy had reached out to a running backs coach as a potential candidate. No word on if he has taken the job just yet. But also around here, Randall Cobb, a guy that knows him pretty well, he is a free agent, so still to be determined if he's coming back next year. But he told me he played with him for 8 years. This was a guy that was responsible for helping draft him to Green Bay, and he was also responsible for getting him involved in that offense that had a lot of star power while he was there in Green Bay. And then, of course, we heard from cornerback Donovan Alumba, who was excited about that. But for the most part, everyone's been bummed. Haven't heard from any of the guys back. I would assume they're just waiting for the official announcement themselves.
And then we get the news conference at some point during this week. McCarthy can absolutely win the news conference if he steps up to the microphone and starts with, "Yeah, Dez did catch it." We know Jane Slater will be there when it happens, and we'll carry it for you live here on NFL Network. Thank you, Jane. One of McCarthy's former players, Devontae Adams, who's busy getting ready for the Packers playoff game this weekend, tweeted out, "Good for Big Mike. Happy for you, Coach." As for some industry perspective, here is our Super Bowl winning head coach, Brian Billick, talking about today's news.
It's the perfect, not good, not great, perfect hire for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Well, Mike McCarthy, first off, he has unquestioned offensive credentials. No one can look at him and not recognize the productivity he's had, what he's done in putting offenses together, mentoring, obviously, and developing Aaron Rodgers. He has got proven head coaching credentials, and that's the number one thing. He's going to step into that team, and the players are going to look and see this is a proven winner in the NFL. He's got a very, very strong personality in the locker room, but he's got a subdued ego. So he's going to be fine with, "Hey, Jerry, you do all the media stuff." In fact, if he could get away with it, he'd probably say, "Look, how about you do all the media? I don't even want to talk to them anymore."
Thank you, Coach. Much more on the Cowboys' new head coach here on NFL Total Access. Later in the show, we already told you McCarthy was out of football last year. We're going to show you an exclusive look at how McCarthy spent his time away preparing for this exact opportunity, including breaking down Dak Prescott video 2 months ago. Stay tuned.
In the meantime, we've got some football games to discuss. 2 NFC games from yesterday that didn't look anything like we expected. For one, Seahawks-Eagles lost Carson Wentz 5 plays in to a concussion. No doubt that changed the complexion of this one. That still turned out to be close. Eagles up 10-6 in the third until DK Metcalf pulled out this grown man move on Avonte Maddox on his way into the end zone, and also a rookie playoff record for receiving yards. 160 for the second-round draft pick, who stole the show in this one, with some competition from Josh McCown, the 40-year-old former retiree who came off the bench to help keep Philly in the game but could not make the play when needed. Here, a 4th down sack, and the Seahawks are moving on to the divisional round, where they will face one of the 2 NFC North teams left in the NFC bracket. Other one, an upset winner in New Orleans yesterday. Vikings flipping all the scripts. And no one more so than Kirk Cousins, who stepped up in the clutch and delivered the perfect pass to Adam Thielen in overtime. How crazy is this catch? Over the shoulder, in stride? That's not easy. And then 3 plays later, it's in the end zone. Back corner, Cousins to Rudolph for the win. The first in the playoffs in Kirk Cousins' career and his only touchdown of the day. But was it a touchdown? Saints say no. They want a PI call on Rudolph.